He is back. Always good to see you, Sha-En.
I'm so happy to be back.
Welcome,
Love seeing both of
welcome.
you.
Aw, and today we have a very special topic that we are discussing. It's gratitude. Can you tell us what exactly does it mean to experience or to express gratitude, and what are some important benefits?
Actually, gratitude is listed as one of the most powerful positive emotions, and really it's a felt sense of wonder, appreciation, and awe. And really, like you said earlier, thankful, but it's really pausing to think about why you're grateful for it that really brings those benefits. So like recognizing that there's more besides you, and so much, maybe people, maybe even just nature. Like you feel so connected to the world out there when you practice gratitude.
And it's just so easy for us to get into it, because there is a lot that we can be grateful for. And if you say you're just that smaller being as part of a greater world, that sense of awe, that's beautiful.
What are some of the immediate benefits of gratitude?
Well, number one, I don't want to be nerdy here but for our listeners who are nerdy, they have found that gratitude actually allows you, number one, to sleep better. Number two, when the scientists examine how your blood flows, they actually find that it flows better when you are in a grateful state of mind.
Really?
Yes.
That is very interesting.
You know when you're tense and you're anxious and you're like resentful and blaming, it's like everything tenses up, including your blood flow. And also it hurts your heart to like keep tension within you. But gratitude has the opposite. In fact, it has the opposite of it's called an undoing effect against harmful stress.
Right.
Nice.
So it's really powerful.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's so small we tend to take it for granted. It's like, I say thank you already. But actually, if you do it intentionally and every day, it accumulates the benefits.
I mean, you bring up a good point. It's not just thank you lah kind of thing, right? It's how do you how should we be expressing gratitude?
Yeah, I mean, what I do is that I have this really great video that I watch to bring me into the feeling of gratitude. See, gratitude is an emotion, and it's not just a practice like, take out 10 notes, write 10 notes to 10 people you're grateful for. We could do that and it would still be useful, but what I find a really good pre-step is to get into the state of mind and feel the emotion, like feel it in your heart, not just cognitively in your mind. And that's when I find, I really feel it like, for example, I say I'm grateful for my family. And I sit and I think about the times that we've spent together, right? And I think about, maybe just yesterday my daughter baked me cake, things like that, the little things. And it starts to accumulate and you build up this positive bank.
I really wish my kids could have heard that. It'd be nice to have some cakes, just to say thank you, Mommy.
We can send them this recording. You know what Mom did at work today?
This idea of gratitude. But I like how, all of us, we can't run away from stress. But actually, with gratitude, expressing gratitude, it becomes a very simple way and a very doable way for you to combat stress. I really like that.
Yes.
And also it's an immediate kind of refocusing of your mind, because sometimes we get so caught up in the day and then we start worrying and we panic. And then I read a quote that says, when you focus on gratitude, you focus on the things that you do have, and suddenly life is enough. Because sometimes we're like, it's not enough this, not enough that. But then when you focus on gratitude, life becomes enough.
Yeah, I mean, we have this negative bias which predisposes us to pay attention to things that are negative, and it has its function, it's protective. If we didn't pay attention to a car that's in front of us, then we could, but then we have learned along the way that, we overpaid attention to it, so to speak. And therefore we need to redirect into things that are actually going well for us.
Is there ever a case whereby we are unable to tune in to gratitude? Is there something wrong with us? Some people are just, just not grateful, or
I
just
think it
don't know
really
how to
depends
express
on the context that you're in. So, for example, obviously, if you're going through a hard time and you're grieving, for example, it's going to, people sometimes say, look on the bright side, right? And they say, it's okay, it's fine.
Who says that? When someone is experiencing a death, unless you want that person to...
I say, or they use words like at least. Things like that.
At least you're not suffering.
It's quite dismissive, right?
And to the receiver, it doesn't always bring comfort. And to ask them to tune into gratitude in moments like that, it's going to be hard to access, because the emotion is high on maybe the negative or challenging side. And what we really want is to meet them where they are. So empathy would do really well in moments like that. And then when they are probably in a better state, then you can look back and say, hey, what went well? What was something you can be grateful for? But that's why sometimes gratitude is met with so much cynicism.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm in this toxic workplace and you ask me to be grateful. Like, hello, do you see what I'm living? You know?
Yeah.
So I think we need to be mindful, right, when we are talking about gratitude to people who may not be so ready.
The context is so key.
Yes.
We're definitely going to talk more about, this mindfulness and also this whole idea of gratitude. That's a great topic you picked for today. I just want to highlight to everyone, chime on in because it might just win you that $100 shopping voucher from Far East Flower. We're going to head on over to Facebook. Join us at facebook.com/1FM913. Good morning.
Thanks so much for joining us. Yes, the happiness scientist is
Yeah, such a great topic. And of course, you wanted to talk about this because last week, I think it was Gratitude Day. It was World Gratitude Day or something that
September
we mentioned.
21st, if I'm not wrong.
Oh,
I like that there's something called
World.
World Gratitude Day to begin with. It's a reminder that, there's a lot to be thankful for in our lives.
Definitely.
Yes, absolutely.
And when we're moving at warp speed, right? I mean, look at it. It's already September. We're just 3 months away from
I
Christmas.
just thought it started.
Yeah, and we're like moaning. It's like, oh, it's so hot. It's only this, this, that, and other. And then now here we are.
Yeah.
Already almost at the end of 2023.
Yes.
Yeah, scientists, they did an experiment and asked people to note down 3 things they were grateful for every day.
Okay.
It's called the 3 blessings or what went well exercise.
Okay.
And then they got a control group to just write down random things, 3 things that are random. And then another group to write down 3 hassles
Okay.
per day.
Okay.
Okay.
And they wanted to see how it impacted their well-being.
Ah.
And
What
of course,
happened?
they found that the neutral group didn't have much change at all, which is like just writing random stuff. The group that wrote 3 hassles per day actually had really bad sleep and also felt increased stress. Yeah, because they were thinking about the hassles that they went through, like getting stuck in traffic, trying to send and upload an attachment on your drive and then just keep hanging,
Right.
Right. Whereas the group that practiced gratitude actually not only slept better, but overall the sense of life satisfaction over a period of time increased. And the
Wow.
effects, even though they did it just for a month, actually went on to benefit them for up to 6 months.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh, I
Yeah.
love that. And
So
It's
it has
really
a lasting,
impactful.
sustainable effect on your well-being.
how long did this experiment go on for?
About a month.
A month. Okay, so a month, and then all the effects went on for 6 extra months. That's actually pretty impactful.
Yeah.
I wonder what it does to your brain though, like your neural pathways.
Yeah, so it's like if you are used to only maybe focusing on the things that you can complain about, actually daily practicing gratitude is like a rewiring of your
Your brain.
neural pathways.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, but of course it takes practice, and that's why for some people they will tell me like, I tried it but it didn't work. But we have to think about how long have they been practicing it, in what forms and in what ways.
Yeah.
Right? So you can write like a gratitude text or note to someone, you can write a letter, you can express it to somebody, like
Must
face to
you
face. Yeah.
express it? Can you just think about your 3 blessings and already, I think that's a good place to start. Must you express it?
Yeah, that's a good place to start. But I would say, like, they always say that shared sorrow is halved and shared joy and gratitude is multifold. Yeah, because positive emotions have this thing called the butterfly effect, a spiraling upward effect, which means that if I share gratitude with both of you, we think like 1 + 1 + 1 is 3, but actually it's much more than 3.
Wow.
Because you have this spiraling effect of it bouncing off each other.
Right.
And so in a way it is a ripple effect, right? You feel so
Ooh.
good after you talk about what you're grateful for. So it of course has similar benefits if you just think about it for yourself, but it has even more benefits when it's shared.
You know something, Alun has shared with us what he's grateful for. He says, I'm grateful for today. It's a long wait, but finally, no more work for the next 3 weeks.
wow.
That is something to be grateful for.
Oh, for sure.
Look at this. His joy just increased by 3-fold because he shared it with us.
I'm just wondering, okay, so if this has a positive effect on our outlook in life, right, then you know how we're all wired to have that negative bias? How I wonder if like practicing gratitude more can kind of like undo that.
Yeah.
Kind of help us deal with that negative bias a little bit easily, or does it even go away at some point? I wonder.
Yeah, I mean, the negative bias, as I mentioned just now, is protective, so you don't actually want it to go away all the time,
yeah.
because you do need it to
Yeah.
like have your radar around you. But I think when it's overused or we rely too heavily, or like around us there's so many things that happen that after a while everything looks like a threat,
Yeah.
and therefore you respond to it negatively. And sometimes it's a matter of really pausing and creating that space for yourself and asking, is this really a threat to me right now? can't I lean into something that is more positive at this moment? And it's a conscious choice, right?
Yep.
So I think if you have that practice, you can rewire, you can shift the bias for yourself.
How do I get like my kids, or young ones, to start about feeling gratitude, being grateful?
Yeah, I started with my daughter who's now 14.
Wow.
And we started when she was 2. When I first learned this was eons ago. And I would just ask her, of course she didn't know the word gratitude at 2 years old, but I just say, what makes you happy? We start with that.
Right.
And she was like, I like ice cream.
Not so much.
I mean, I
not
do
so much.
too.
Be thankful I gave birth to you, kind of situation.
Yeah,
right?
no, because obviously at 2 they can't access that. And so I mean, it. Some people ask, do we need to do it every day, every single day? Of course, it has protective effects, but they've also found that too much of a good thing can sometimes have what they call an adaptation effect. That means you do it too often and you realize you're doing the same thing over again, and your brain suddenly loses focus.
Right.
It's like, I'm bored.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's good to change the variety of ways you do it.
Okay.
You can also do it maybe 2 times a week, which has more impact because you actually sit down and you take it seriously. I think a lot of it's got to do with intention, right?
Can we recap that on air? I think that's
sure.
brilliant what you
For
just
sure.
said, because sometimes I think we feel like, every day be grateful, and if you don't, you're doing it wrong, right? All right, we're just jumping back live on air.
Milli Vanilli would blame it on the rain, but hey, some of us do like the rain, and we're even grateful for it. It is the Brightside. Good morning to you, and remember, by chiming on in with your comments or your questions, it might just win you that $100 voucher from Far East Flour. We asked Sha-En a really good question, because I have 3 boys, right? And I'm always wanting to know how I can actually bring them up better, or do better for them. And how do you teach gratitude, the sense of gratitude in young kids?
Yeah, I did this practice since my daughter was now 14, when she was 2.
Wow.
And I just simply ask her, what are you happy about? And, at 2, sometimes it's hard to explain gratitude because it's quite complex. And she'll start off by just saying, well, I like ice cream. I mean, I do too, right? I mean, and then it will just generate that positivity. And that's kind of where you want to start.
Okay.
Rather than it being a task that they have to do. Because when it becomes a task, then they're like, it becomes like homework. Do gratitude exercise like homework. And I think that's not the vibe that we want to have when we introduce something like this.
Sure.
But even with adults, I think off air we're talking about how when you do the same thing every day, there's an effect.
Yeah, adaptation, because you adapt to good things. We adapt to good things and we adapt to bad things in the same way, right? So it's like you eat ice cream every day. After a while, your palate can get sick of the ice cream, right? Especially if the same flavor. Then you start thinking, are there other flavors? Can I eat chocolate today? So it's the same thing with gratitude practice, and some people adapt to it, and it no longer has the same impact or effect or the benefit on you.
So what can we do?
Yeah, we can spread it out, or we can increase or change the variety. So for example, if you're used to expressing gratitude, maybe it's about painting something your gratitude, or maybe you just go for a walk and reflect on what you see in nature. So you can change it up and you will still accrue the benefits, or you can spread it out. So instead of every day, we would say once a week, or you can do it with different, share the practice with different people.
Because you
so
mentioned
there are many ways,
on Facebook about intention. That's really important in expressing gratitude. Intention is more important than the frequency.
Yes, I agree. For example, I work with a lot of schools and organizations, and they will tell me like, we did it, but it didn't work. We practiced gratitude, but it didn't have the impact that we wanted. And when I investigate a little bit more, I find that there's not enough priming for the activity, meaning that they took it as just a paper exercise. Okay, everyone, World Gratitude Day now. You've got this beautiful colored paper in on your desk. Okay, now find someone to write it to, and then they just write it to. But there isn't that so-called intention to stop and think, what has your colleague actually done for you? Think back to a time when this particular colleague may have saved your life by doing something for you, or even if it's a small thing, it was a bad day and they put a coffee on your table. And when you reminisce in that moment, then you really bring up the whole feeling of that gratitude. Then when you write the note, it's just basically a translation of that emotion. And it's so heartfelt because the receiver will realize you've actually spent time to think about that moment. rather than it just being thank you for being my colleague.
I think that's why on Teachers' Day, a lot of teachers feel so loved because, you know, to make a card, to write a note, that takes a lot of effort.
Yes.
You know, and talking about like maybe between spouses as well, I read somewhere that, you know, gratitude is sometimes something that can actually restore a relationship because day in, day out, you're doing the same thing and you kind of forget to say the little thing, thank you. You know, that phrase can be quite powerful in the everyday lives of a partner or a relationship.
Yeah, and not just thank you lor. But you know, like, hey, you know, really pause, maybe even like just face the person, a bit of eye contact, and just say, you know, I really appreciate that you're doing this. Even just less than a minute, but it can have a great impact on the receiver who feels like, at least it's been noticed.
Because I think common feedback between partners is, oh, I feel invisible, I feel taken for granted, I don't feel appreciated for the things that I do. So thank you or gratitude can be quite life-changing. Sha-En,
absolutely.
thank you so much for joining us here today. We've got one last question.
Yes, we want to ask, like, what other positive emotions can help us feel greater satisfaction and that greater sense of gratitude?
Yeah, I mean, linked very closely as a powerful emotion is joy. So like feeling a deep sense of joy, thinking about moments that you've had that really fill you up inside. You know, we distinguish between joy and happiness, as happiness being a general feeling that's quite fleeting, but joy is something that's more internal. Yeah, and so when you feel that joy, try to savor it, spend time with it, rather than I joyful, okay, bye, you know. You move on, right? I guess it's the same principle as gratitude. Yeah.
Like a good cube of dark chocolate.
I knew chocolate was coming.
There's something going around on Instagram called those glimmer moments.
Moments
that make you, like, you know, happy, and then you take that time to remember and to just soak in those glimmer moments, to be appreciative and be present.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you know, you mentioned, Carol, earlier, that we live in such a hustle-bustle life that everything just flies at the speed of light. And it's because we're doing something counter to that we really, you know, hone that sense of appreciation almost. It feels counterintuitive in this world, but it's so necessary.
It is. Thank you so much for, you know, bringing up this topic today. It's a great way to start the work week and a great thing to reflect on as we approach the end of 2023. So much to be grateful for. And we, of course, here on the Brightside, so grateful for you, Sha-En.
Grateful to have both of you as well. There's a lot of fuzzy feelings now.
Always, whenever you're in the studio.
All right, Brightside buddies, do recap the chat on gratitude on Facebook, facebook.com/1FM 91.3. It's been a lovely morning. Thanks, Sha-En.
Thank you.
Good times. Greatest hits. 1FM 91.3.